Children in tears telling us they're afraid to go to school because they're worried that their parents won't be there when they get back.
Zahilay is banning ICE agents from using non-public county-owned spaces like parking lots, buildings, or garages for any immigration enforcement work.
America, King County Executive Girmay Zahilay just banned ICE from county property, allocating $2 million in emergency funding for illegal immigrants, and now is panicking because the FIFA World Cup is coming to Seattle in just 91 days, and he has absolutely no security plan. And the federal government he's fighting, that's the same federal government whose agents are required to secure the World Cup.
King County Executive Girmay Zahilay says his office is taking immediate action to protect immigrants and refugees from federal immigration enforcement operations.
Pick a lane. Either federal law enforcement is a threat to your community, or they're the people keeping 750,000 international visitors safe. You don't get to block them from county property on a Monday, then ask them to protect your city on a Tuesday. What is up, guys? Tyson DeLaCruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. The deadline is here. The plan obviously isn't. ICE is coming anyway. And somewhere in Seattle, Girmay Zahilay is trying to figure out how to ban the people he actually needs to keep tourism alive. Let's get into it. Let me explain what King County Executive Zahilay just did, because the news coverage made it sound like one policy here. It was actually 4 separate actions in one executive order. First, he allocated, get this, $22 million in emergency funds for food access, legal aid, and rental assistance, specifically, drum roll it, guys, drum roll it, for illegal immigrants and refugees. Second, he banned ICE from using non-public county-owned spaces.
These areas shall not be used for staging areas, processing locations, or operations bases for immigration enforcement activities.
While he cannot ban ICE from using the King County International Airport, Zahilay says he is requiring airport officials to take enhanced accountability measures, like upgrading security cameras and observation areas. Under the order, the King County Sheriff's Office must develop new public protocols for interacting with federal agents, including how deputies should respond to reports of ICE activity and how to identify unmarked agents. Zahilay's steps are gaining support from some county council members.
We are seeing lawlessness and chaos being invoked by federal law enforcement agents.
The council member called federal law enforcement lawless, the people with badges, warrants, and federal authority. A King County council member just looked at ICE, an agency operating under federal law with legal authority confirmed by the Supreme Court, and called them the source of lawlessness. Guys, this is the same county where homelessness is visible from outer space. Just joking, but where homelessness is visible from the highway. Drug overdoses are a daily occurrence here, and crime reports are in consistent conversation. But federal immigration enforcement, that's the chaos that everybody's worried about in King County.
That people want to know, what is the role of the sheriff's office with respect to ICE? What are people's rights? And how can we better assist to clarify the law?
Clarify the law from an executive who's actively conflicting with federal law. Make it make sense here. Clarify the law. That is absolutely rich. The man who banned federal agents from county property wants to clarify what the law is. Here's a clarification for you. Article 6 of the Constitution says federal law is supreme. Supreme. King County does not get to nullify immigration enforcement any more than they get to nullify the IRS. But let's see how far this goes, because we're just getting started here. Zahilay set the deadline for March 16th, just a couple days ago, depending on when you're watching this, for the sheriff's office to submit a plan to handle ICE interactions. The deadline came, the plan was submitted, and then nothing.
The county executive's office confirmed they received the plan, but it's still being reviewed.
The King County Executive's office says that they're still reviewing the sheriff's plan and how and when it will be implemented. More information is expected to come in the next few weeks.
Submitted, still being reviewed. My friends, the World Cup is 91 days out and they haven't implemented their own plan yet. Submitted the plan, they say. Still reviewing it, they said. Apparently, this is how you run a county with the World Cup on the calendar. 90 days until 750,000 people descend on Seattle from around the globe. And the security framework is somewhere in an inbox looking to be reviewed. Meanwhile, the University of Washington's Center of Human Rights published data showing 2,250 immigrant arrests in Washington, Oregon, and Alaska in the last 3 months of 2025 alone. The situation is obviously escalating. The plan is in review.
Local leaders are racing to pass emergency laws to block the federal government from building new immigration detention centers anywhere in the region.
We want to be united in this call for saying no detention facilities, no matter who has jurisdiction over those areas.
No detention centers anywhere. No detention centers anywhere in the region. That is their position. Not we want more oversight. Not we want humane conditions. No facilities at all. Which means if you're going to arrest people for being here illegally and federal law requires that they be processed somewhere, they want that somewhere to be anywhere but there. Till it's the World Cup, then obviously they need security. Make it make sense, guys.
Ma'am, ICE, specifically Homeland Security Investigations, is a key part of the overall security apparatus for the World Cup. We're dedicated to securing that operation, and we're dedicated to the security of all our participants as well as visitors.
ICE testified in Congress that they are running World Cup security, the same ICE King County banned from county property. The acting director of ICE testified to Congress on record under oath that the Homeland Security investigation is a key part of World Cup security, not a supporting player, a key underline part. And King County has an executive order banning them from parking lots in the community. The Secret Service protects the president, ICE protects the World Cup, and Seattle's leadership is treating them both like an enemy. Now let's quickly talk about the rally that took place at King County International Airport, because this is where ideology fully reveals itself. It is in the full form here. Activists showed up to demand an end to ICE detention flights from the airport. And the framing they chose? Comparing deportation flights to the Japanese-American internment of 1942. That is their argument. Remove the legal distinction between American citizens being prisoned by their own government during wartime and foreign nationals being removed for violating immigration law, and we just call it the same thing.
They're doing a remembrance, obviously, on this day of the Japanese Americans who were interned back in 1942. But it's also about protecting civil liberties, they say, of people living in this country right now.
Japanese Americans were U.S. citizens imprisoned without charges. Deportees are foreign nationals being removed under federal law. This is not the same thing. American citizens locked up because their ancestry with no trial, no charges, no due process. That's one of the darkest chapters in American history and absolutely worth remembering. Deporting somebody who entered the country illegally through a legal process with representation and judicial review, that's a legal proceeding. Equating them isn't honoring Japanese American history. It's weaponizing it.
La Resistencia says there has been a lack of transparency here at the airport around deportation flights, saying ICE is working around an executive order from King County that would give clarity to these flights. It says they're using dummy call signs and unlisted tail numbers to fly people out of here on deportation flights.
ICE is using operational security at the international airport, and activists are upset that they can't track the flights. Dummy call signs, unlisted tail numbers. You know who else uses those? Every law enforcement and military flight in American history. You don't announce your operational movement to those people actively working to disrupt it. The activists are upset that they can't monitor flights in real time. These are the same people who are surveilling ICE agents with cameras and showing up to their operations and doxing them and their family. And they want the flight manifesto too, for safety, obviously. And here's what nobody in King County leadership is saying out loud. The World Cup is a perfect political cover for their ICE policies. And I want to show you exactly how they're using it.
With the World Cup a matter of months away, Seattle will be front and center again. Mayor Katie Wilson recently signed an executive order barring ICE from using city-owned properties for civil enforcement operations. She also directed Seattle police officers to investigate, verify, and document ICE activity. That sparked backlash from the Police Officers Guild. Its president says the concept pits two armed law enforcement agencies against each other. He says he won't allow members to be used as political pawns. In recent months, SPD's police chief said the department abides by state laws and regulations, stopping the department from participating in immigration enforcement. As for the World Cup, Seattle is expecting 750,000 people from around the globe, but will they still come?
The concern here is ticket revenue, not community safety. 750,000 international visitors, hotel bookings, restaurant revenue, merchandise sales, tax receipts. That's why the World Cup matters to King County right now. Not because they suddenly decided federal law enforcement is acceptable, because the economic engine of a global sporting event requires international visitors to feel safe. And you can't welcome the world while your county executive is fighting the people providing security.
We all watched what happened in Minneapolis. And so how are we safeguarding our city, preparing our city, and again, trying to use these proactive measures?
Local leaders are moving quickly, and all this various legislation that they have introduced is expected to come up for final votes in a matter of weeks.
They referenced Minneapolis, the city where Timmy Tampon Walsh was found to have known about the fraud, massive fraud in that area, as their cautionary tale. Interesting choice there. They brought up Minneapolis unprompted, said they watched it happen there and don't want it to happen here. What happened in Minneapolis? We all know Timmy Tampon Walsh let the fraud and lawlessness fester for years under the protection of sanctuary policies until the federal government showed up. And King County's response to that example is to double down on the same freaking policies. Study the cautionary tale, repeat the cautionary tale, and call it leadership.
People are increasingly scared, especially about driving, arrests on the street. Angelina Godoy, executive director of the Center for Human Rights, says the data validates migrants' concerns about safety. She applauds King County leaders for putting together a new plan. But when it comes to new policies, she says some can feel more performative than effective. We should start by plugging the holes in existing policies before we craft new ones or put up new signs or all those kind of things. We need to have a state that abides by its own laws.
The state that abides by its own laws, said an immigration advocate, accidentally making a case for enforcement. The executive director of the Center of Human Rights just told you that King County needs to abide by its own laws before crafting new ones. She meant it as a critique on ICE, but read it straight. Washington State has laws. King County has laws. Federal laws supersede both. And King County has spent 2 months creating ordinances that directly conflict with federal authority, which means they're the ones not abiding by the law. America, here's what King County has built in 2 months. A $2 million fund for illegal immigrants, a ban on ICE using county property, surveillance cameras at the airport to monitor federal agents, emergency legislation blocking detention centers. That would bring a lot of jobs to the region, and the sheriff's plan that was submitted and is still being reviewed. And here's what they haven't built: a functioning security plan for the biggest event in Seattle history. The World Cup brings more surveillance, more federal coordination, and more DHS presence than anything this region has ever seen. ICE confirmed it in a congressional testimony. DHS confirmed it in their World Cup security assessment. And the international visitors who illegally entered the U.S., their own federal spokesperson said they have nothing to worry about. This was never about the World Cup. It's about elections, activist coalitions, and the same money for votes transactions that we've seen in every Democrat-run sanctuary city from Minneapolis to Seattle. 750,000 visitors are coming. The federal government is providing security, and executives in King County file an executive order that's going to collide with operational reality in 90 days. Let's see which one blinks first. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.